track.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Common Podcast, where we speak upon common sense and realize it really isn't that common. Guys, we made it. If you're listening to the podcast, this is the last podcast of 2022. We're on to 2023. I'm excited. I want y'all to leave down in the comments below what is something that you're looking forward to in 2023. To wrap 2022, we kind of made today's conversation a recap of kind of just trending topics and things that went on in our year in 2022. Hopefully y'all can relate to it. But yeah, I'm excited for 2023. I'm excited to hit it hard. For those that are not following yet, we have a brand new channel on YouTube that's called Roger Reacts. We're pushing that channel pretty heavily, so that's going to be the first link in the description. I know I told you all a couple episodes ago that we're not going to be on Spotify anymore. We are back on Spotify, but you will have to research the Common Podcast to see the new episodes. So go check us out on Spotify. We're also on Amazon Music. With all that being said, guys, I hope you all enjoyed today's conversation. All the links are down in the description. Please go check us out and enjoy.
Yes, sir.
Cheers. What is this?
Cheers.
Buffalo
Buffalo
Trace.
Trace.
Is it strong?
It's about the same as all the other ones. I think it's pretty smooth, actually.
It's smooth, yeah.
It's pretty smooth. Yeah.
Is that a pricey one?
Nah.
No?
I thought it was gonna be pricier because this is the one on Rogan's show. He's always like, "Oh, Buffalo Trace, this and that." You know, I'm like, okay, let me check it out. Right? I went to the store and it was like $20. I'm like, oh.
Oh, nice. It's not bad.
Perfect.
Well, he promotes it, right? It's like one of the most long-lasting.
Like, I'm pretty sure they have a deal with it the way he talks about it all the time.
Yeah, for sure. But the this is December 27th, you said, or the 8th?
28th.
December 28th. We're rounding up the year here, 2022, and I think this is we're over 2 years with the podcast. So I'm over 2 years with the podcast, and so we're gonna wrap up the year with this podcast. But I think it's kind of crazy just knowing that I had the podcast for 2 years.
Yeah, man. Time's definitely flown by.
Yeah.
So literally, you started it in 2020 December, or
I don't even know. I don't even remember. I just been getting memories.
Your flashbacks.
Yeah, I've been getting flashbacks and memories on the social media. 2 years ago, this was happening. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. It didn't even feel like that. And I have a second podcast, the Outlier podcast, and that one's only on YouTube. And that one's already about to go on a year, and it's like, what? I feel like I've only been doing that one for a couple of months. Time is flying. I feel like the older that I get, time is just slipping away.
You know what? Since I've noticed, obviously this year was a big year for me and Roger because we both had our first sons. Big deal, right? It's a huge moment in our lives. And what I've noticed is that once you have kids, man, life just goes on fast forward. Like you're gonna be holding them one day, just like I am now, and I see old pictures of him. Like, he already grew that much. Like, are you serious? Like, his whole face changes. Like, man,
bro, for sure. I mean, he's about to be a month, and we can already see it.
Yeah, totally. He doesn't look the way he did like as a newborn.
For sure. My wife was like tearing up the other day because she was looking at the baby pictures and videos that I took, because my wife had a C-section.
Yeah.
She couldn't have a natural birth because he was breached. So he was upside down or whatever it is, and or he was upside up.
Yeah, instead of being ready to go down, he was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he was already too big, so they planned the C-section. And then, because she was on a 2-hour recovery, they put the baby in the nursery area, whatever, bathe him and all that. So I took pictures and videos and all that, and she was like kind of sad that she wasn't there for all that. But so she started looking back at it, and like it was like, man, he's grown so much. She started tearing up. So I think you're right with that. But we're talking about, because Christmas just passed. Yeah. And my buddy and I were talking about the whole Christmas thing, how different it is from being a child to an adult. Yeah. And for him and I, he opened with, I don't even feel like it's Christmas. But I told him, it's like, we're at a stage of our lives where it's up to us to make the Christmas spirit alive. And if we don't do that, it's not going to come, because we're used to being the kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And the adults setting that ambience.
Yeah.
But now it's up to us. If we're not setting up the Christmas tree, we're not putting up the Christmas lights, we're not putting the music, the little decorations, it's just not going to happen. It's not going to come to life. And I feel like him and I can't speak for you, but I'm in a weird position where it's like, all right, it's time to really step up, especially because I got a little boy now. Yeah. But yeah, everything kind of like just changes mentally as I'm growing up, and then having a kid just kind of enhanced that.
Yeah, like I said, like I feel like ever since he's born, it's just fast forward, like boom, we're at the end of the year already. I'm like, wow. Before, like, he's about to be 9 months, 3 more months after that, it's a year. Like, wow, man.
9 months?
Yeah, he's about to hit 9 months right now, like the 1st, January 1st. So it's like, man, like, before you know it. And like this year, we you know, my wife sets up all the decorations, so you know, she made that house feel like Christmas. But like in the morning, we brought him down. He's old enough, sits on his own, right? So we put the Christmas gifts right in front of him, and he's trying to go to town, trying to rip it open.
Really?
Right? And it's nice, but like I feel like next year, when he's talking, when he's like fully knows like, oh, it's Christmas, I'm getting a gift. I think that's when it's gonna be like really special, you know.
Oh,
like
yeah.
this first Christmas was obviously very special, but like for a long time it hasn't felt like Christmas because we've been adults. Like we're adults, man. We don't really anything that we want or need, we can get it.
Exactly, yeah.
And so gifts weren't really a thing but now I'm kind of looking forward to it because it's like I get to get him something and make him feel like
exactly. Well,
special. It's
kind of crazy how that phenomenon's kind of switched too, right? It's like you, as a kid, you were excited to get gifts, and now you're excited to give the gifts.
Yeah.
We were talking about that too, but yeah, different. Time is moving fast, and time has changed us and our mentality. So, yeah, I think it's crazy.
Yeah, man.
But
Started a podcast 2 years ago, you know. You were probably not even thinking about like a baby, you know.
No, we were. The baby was planned. That's a lot of people think that it wasn't planned, but no, it was definitely planned.
I mean, you guys were married, so it's like
yeah. So my plan was like I wanted the baby like right away.
Immediately.
But we had to come to an agreement. Like, okay, 2022 is when we'll start, and we wanted a winter baby. That was the plan. And so we're like, okay, starting January, we'll try. She got pregnant in February. So it happened perfect.
Yeah.
And then we had our winter baby. Or did she get pregnant in February? I don't know. Does that count out? It might have been March.
Yeah, it's around that time.
Yep.
March, February.
Whenever she got pregnant. But it happened perfect, which is, thank God. That's a blessing because that doesn't always happen. Like people.
No, man, of course, I know people that struggle having kids, you know. It's not really a problem I'm envious of, you know, man. It's completely changed my life, and you know, I know it has for you too. Like, imagine not being able to. Like,
oh yeah,
man, that'd be tough. That would be really tough.
Yeah, I think that hits harder on women because I know that.
Oh, for sure.
Especially if her husband wants kids and is very vocal about it, like the way I was. Like, I know that was something in the back of Sarah's mind throughout the whole
that's pressure, man.
process because she was like, man, he really wants a kid, and what if I'm not able to give him what he wants and whatever. So yeah, that's definitely pressure.
That's pressure, but also like they get their own biological pressure too. Like, you know, as women get older, they feel that like, okay, like I gotta go, like I gotta have a baby.
Yeah.
You know, so it must really mess with them mentally to not be able to, like, once they're hitting their 30s and stuff like that. Like, yeah. You know.
Has your feelings changed at all towards your wife after she had your child?
I would say, so I loved her before, obviously, but like, I think it just forms like a deeper connection, honestly, because once you share that child, it's like, you know, you become a real team because you have to do the co-parenting stuff and you have to be there for her, and she has to be there for you. Like it really becomes like you're both on this mission, and it brings you closer, you know. That's how I feel, you know, 9 months into it. Yeah,
at one point, I don't know when it was like the first, maybe going on the second week, I got pretty emotional, like, by myself because I was watching her take care of my son, and I was like, man, dude, like, it really hit me because, well, first of all, that's something I've wanted for years. And I've known the most important thing to me was becoming a father over anything. And, you know, it finally happened, and then I was glad to see that, first of all, the person that I decided to have a child with, it was also important for her. Yeah. Right. And so I had to have that all match up. And then for her to be, because she's extremely patient too. That's another thing. And when I see her, you know, taking care for the baby, it seems like unconditional love, right? Yeah. Which, really does. Especially for moms, it usually is. But I don't know. It made me feel like a lot more connected towards her, and it just this warm, fuzzy feeling towards her.
100%.
I even tweeted it out because I was like, damn.
It's so overwhelming. Yeah, no, yeah. I definitely, honestly, I can take care of my son half as good as my wife can. Like, and that's just natural. Like, she's the day he was born. Like,
yeah.
Boom, she was on it, and it's honestly it's impressive because it took me a couple months before I was like, okay, I could definitely do it by myself. Like, no issues. I can be a whole day like, and for women, it's just like on the go, on the fly, and then their bodies are recovering from a pretty significant event, especially since your wife got a C-section. Like that's rough, man. Rip open.
Yeah, definitely. Like we had to stay downstairs for the first week. I had to be changing him. I had to be doing like a lot of the, but she was there where she needed to be, and I was definitely happy for that. But we plan to have a big family.
Yeah.
I want about 5 or 6, give or take.
I'm thinking like 2 or 3.
2 or 3. Right away, or what are y'all thinking?
No, not right away. I mean, we're thinking about getting him to like 2 or 3 years old, and then have another one around there. Ideally,
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll definitely see.
How was the grandparents?
Yeah. The grandparents. Yeah, that's
Are there any have y'all discussed any boundaries? Obviously, you don't have to get too personal, but has there been any boundaries talked about as far as discipline goes, or who gets to take care of him, blah blah blah? Because that could be a touchy subject for some.
It is, and right now he spends because me and my wife both work, and he spends the day with with her mom, and obviously it's I just feel like that's natural for a woman to just default to her parents or her mother, and I think that's just natural. Yeah. And my parents have gotten to take care of him and spend time with him. We try to make sure they see him when weekend. Yeah. But definitely it's she has that trust in her mom, so that's where he spends most of his time with. When he's not with us, obviously. Yeah,
I got asked this question a week ago. Would you allow any other person discipline your child, as far as maybe your grandparents?
Grandma and grandpa? I would say, I think the way me and my wife have it is no. Right now, no. Obviously, he's 9 months. He hasn't.
Yeah, but we're talking about
once he gets older,
toddler.
See, that's a tough question, because if it's just telling him, hey, no, don't do that, then of course, you can do that. But as a serious screaming, scolding, no, that's not their job. Yeah, well, I don't expect them to do that, and I'm pretty sure my wife wouldn't want them to do that.
Yeah, well, I think that's also a discussion of judgment, right? Who, for me personally, it matters who, because I don't want to get too personal, but there's certain people that I feel have great judgment when it comes to discipline, and I feel I know that they wouldn't get physical, first of all.
Yeah, that's number one.
And I know they wouldn't raise their voice for a stupid reason, or it wouldn't be extremely combative in a nasty way. Does that make sense? I know people in my life that I'm willing to hey, you can discipline him. Obviously, don't put your hands on my boy.
Never know.
But yeah, do you feel the same way? I don't know.
No, I feel the same way, but for the most part, I do think that disciplining comes down mostly to me and her. It's gonna be us. Yeah,
for sure.
100% it's gonna be us. And if he's with, my parents or her parents, it's if he does something wrong when he's with them, obviously I would like them for them to correct it on the spot. Right, but not obviously not get physical, but also tell us so we can be hey, that's not acceptable behavior and all that stuff. We do the disciplining because at the end of the day, that's our kid. I would hope for that to happen, but obviously, there might be grandparents que lo van a chiflar. They're gonna spoil him. Yeah. A lot more, and he's gonna be oh, I can get away with this when I'm with them. It's no.
So how do you combat that as a parent? So, what do you plan on doing for disciplining yourself? You plan on spanking? Time out? What you thinking?
Man, honestly, I haven't given that much thought because I don't want to hit my kid.
Yeah.
I really don't. But I know it does come a time where like, hey, like if I don't, there might come a time where like, hey, he'll like, oh, you're not gonna do anything to me, you know, like, and they might want to challenge you a bit more, and it's like,
yeah,
maybe there's a way without spanking, right? But I definitely do want to, you know, make sure that he respects me physically, like he knows that, hey, you're not the boss here.
For sure. Well, like, so
it's tough, man. What do you believe in spanking?
Yeah, I do. So we belong in the Hispanic culture, which traditionally is for spanking, right?
Yeah.
But so I've always thought that my dad spanked me, and
oh yeah, my parents were. Ooh.
Yeah, and so like I know it's looked upon very negatively now, and because a lot of people got spanked and they're like, oh, that was so abusive. Like, why would they do that to me? Whatever. I never saw it that way. Like, I look back and like, whenever my dad spanked me, it was like for a reason.
Yeah.
And I understood it, right?
My dad was really good at disciplining me without spanking me, but one time he did mess me up, and it was for a good reason. Like,
yeah.
You know, and understandable.
But I have a little different outlook now, because I've studied temperaments for quite a while now, and we've talked about temperaments on the podcast for a long time. And my mentor, the one that taught me temperaments, he has this one segment where he teaches about kids, and he teaches about how discipline should look different with different temperaments, right? If you spank somebody who doesn't respond well to spanking, well, guess what? They're going to look at it very resentful, right? There is a temperament where spanking them is actually useful, but you have to play, like, for instance, like we all know those people that respond well to guilt treatment, right? Yeah. And if you understand that your child responds good to guilt treatment, like, look, I'm very disappointed that you did that, blah, blah, blah. You can see it in the child's demeanor. Like if it's really, or if you tell, because you can also tell if it's the opposite, right? Like, hey, I'm really disappointed, and the kid doesn't give a crap, you know, whatever, he shakes it off and he takes off. Like, you know, you can tell in that. So I think that it's a very delicate, obviously, situation.
Yeah, it's a fine line.
It's a fine line, but I think you have to play it case by case. But ultimately, like, I do believe in spanking, like not hitting, like, you know, just, you know, in the butt enough to where like they know, hey, you know, it's not correct. And I always say this, and you always quote me on it, is discipline equals freedom.
Yeah.
Right. Discipline equals freedom. Like I would rather discipline my kids before the world does. Yeah.
So far as I've noticed, you know, like I said, he's only 9 months, but he behaves a lot better around strangers, other people, than he does. Like with us, you know, he's a little more like throwing himself and trying to like grab something on the floor. He sees something he wants to get, he's gonna crawl towards it and get it. But when he's around others, like, he hardly ever cries. Like he has a really, really good temperament so far. So from what I've noticed, I'm thinking he's gonna lean into like guilt. You know, the guilt, like, hey, I'm not happy with you right now. Yeah. I think it's going that way because he seems responsive to us, like, already. Yeah. You know, obviously your son's almost gonna be a month, so it's like you're not there yet. Yeah. But you're gonna start seeing, like, little by little that temperament's gonna start to show. And you know, I'm excited for him to just get older so I can see the personality. Yeah,
for sure. I'm excited for him to grow older. I told you that before we started recording.
Yeah.
It's like I'm looking forward to, like, just seeing the type of person he is, because I love psychology. I love the mind, 100%. And I want to see what type of person he's. And my wife actually asked me today, because we were talking about. Have you ever heard that Kid Cudi song? Soundtrack to My Life.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Kid Cudi songs.
Yeah, right? Classic.
And he has this one line that I love so much, and I quote it all the time, where he says, 2 older brothers, 1 hood, 1 good. Mm-hmm. Right? And what that line is talking about is basically temperaments. Because he's talking about 2 people can be born in the same household and have the same upbringing, but that doesn't mean that they're going to have the same outlook.
Yeah.
Right? Because, again, temperaments. People perceive things differently. And so I love that. And so I was talking to my wife. I talked about music to my wife a lot because I have a reaction channel, right? And so I was showing her those lyrics, and then she's like, she flipped it on me. She's like, oh, like, what do you think about you, your brother, and your sister? And I was talking about how we all, like, interpreted things of our childhood differently, right?
I love having psychology talks with my wife, man. It's the best. Yeah.
And so, I was telling her how my brother wasn't really into sports, right? And so naturally,
man, I think it's a big deal, honestly.
Yeah, 100%. My brother wasn't into sports, and so my dad's a real traditional guy and real masculine man, and he wanted us to play sports. So I was the type of person that I loved sports, and I was the type of person that I wanted to pick up anything and everything and then be the best at it. Like I talked to her about, I was in the chess club in middle school, and I wanted to be the best chess player, right? And it's like, but anyways, so my dad saw that in me, and like naturally he kind of leaned more towards me. And, you know, that give the impression that, you know, my brother's the black sheep, and then, you know, he doesn't love my brother, which is obviously not true. But so my wife asked me, she's like, well, what if our son isn't a physical, competitive kid? I was like, well, for me, I have a little bit better of understanding of it. And to me, it doesn't matter if he's not into competitive physical sports, but whatever he is into, he better be the best of it. I don't care if his thing is chess. I don't care if his thing's a spelling bee. I don't care if his thing is band. I don't care if it's football, baseball, whatever it is. But I'm going to teach him whatever it is, you're going to be the best at it. Right. And so I think that's the correct way to approach it. I mean, I'm a month father, so what do I know? Right. Yeah. But that's the way. Because like you can only plan so much. Right. Because like they say, you're never ready for a kid.
No.
But I think it's okay to kind of like assume.
I think you gotta, like for me personally, when I was growing up, around 9 years old, my dad put me in tackle football, and I didn't really want to do it. Like I was just like, I was 9 years old. I was playing video games and stuff, and I was like, I'd rather be home playing video games. What am I doing, right? And so he kind of pushed me toward playing football, and at first I didn't really like it, and then I remember vividly this one memory is they put me in at linebacker. The play opened up, and I went in between two of the linemen, and I made the tackle on the running back. And I heard my dad's like, yeah, hell yeah, like, let's go, right? And I was just like, I got up and I was like, that was awesome. Like, that was exciting. So sometimes you just got to give him a little, you know, a little nudge, like, hey, try it, you know? Try this, try that. So, you know, that's definitely what I'm going to do with my son. Like, you're going to try a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And then you mentioned chess, like, as soon as he's able to grasp the concept, I'm teaching him chess.
Oh,
chess
for sure, bro. I love chess.
Great thing to get into, man. And I love chess too. Like I would spend like in high school we had like whatever electives, right? I'd spend most of the time like I'd be playing chess with other people. Like, that was just something that it's always interested me and like stimulated my mind. You know, I feel like great after a chess game. You feel like, man, like you're like into it, right? Yeah. And so definitely I'm gonna push him towards that. I'm gonna push him towards, you know, football, towards basketball. I'm gonna give everything a shot. I never played baseball.
Well, for sure.
I'm gonna let him play baseball.
It's good to, because people demonize this now, but it's good to at least push him to things that you're familiar with too. Like, why would you push him? Because people's like, oh, well, like, why would you have him do that? How do you know he's gonna like baseball? It's like, well, we don't know if we don't try. And then, like, what if that's what you're familiar with, right? Like, why not start somewhere where you are familiar with? Like, you played football. Let's start him with football. I've heard a lot of people say, like, oh, like, what does he want to play football, right? Because I've said, like, for me, they're like, oh, like, what are you going to have your son play? It's like, I really want to get him in gymnastics and some type of, like, mixed martial arts. Those are the two things that I want to start him off with. And it's like, well, what if he doesn't want to do those things? And it's like, well, first of all, I want to start him off on those two things because those are... It's been proven that those are the two that kind of roll over to other sports if they get good at it. Gymnastics is great for literally any other sport, and mixed martial arts, self-defense.
Yeah, 100%. I wish I was put in mixed martial arts when I was little, and I'm definitely gonna, as soon as he's able to, I'm gonna throw him into something. I haven't decided yet which one, which disciplines, right? But I definitely want to get him to something. I'm thinking more boxing because I think that's the best self-defense you can learn.
Think so?
Yeah. To me, well, you know, you watch the UFC too, right? To me, what dominates the UFC is always like striking and straight up wrestling. Like I think jiu-jitsu is really good, obviously. Like, you know, world-class jiu-jitsu people can tap someone out like crazy, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you see like the biggest stars in the sport. Let's say Conor McGregor, man. He's a straight up striker. He's a boxer. You see Khabib. he's a straight up wrestler. John Jones, wrestler, striking. Like, so I definitely, that's what I think personally. I think I want to do maybe boxing, and Los Fresnos has a wrestling program now. If I'm able to put my kid in here, I definitely want him to do wrestling.
For sure. I was in boxing when I was a kid for about a year. It was fun, but
yeah, exactly. Like, and if I put him in there, and after he does like a whole year or a season, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to do this, then okay, we'll move on.
Yeah,
we'll try something else. But I'm at least gonna throw him in there, see how you like it.
Yeah. So I guess while we're on this topic, and then I don't want to like jump off the whole family thing and then not address this, but I told you I was gonna ask you this question. Yeah. I saw a video and then I made a reaction video to it on my reaction channel, and the question is, who eats first, husband or kids? And I guess you want to throw in the wife, you could throw the wife in there, but I mean, what's your answer to that?
Okay, so can I get a little bit more context? Like, what's the video saying?
Well, the video is very broad because it's a clip, but I want to present it to you as a very general scenario, and there's no extremes. So you are the breadwinner. You're bringing home the means. Nobody's gonna starve, right? And there's no extremes. They're like, nobody's gonna go sick. Nobody has a autoimmunity disorder. Yeah. You know, nobody has any type of crazy things. Y'all are doing well. You get home, dinner's being made. Who eats first?
Well, just how we do it in my house, like automatically, I always get served first.
Okay.
That's just how we do it. I mean, I've never really given thought into it, but I think it's like, I think it's just, man, I'm not really sure. It's just how we do it, you know? Well, I think my wife does it because she was raised right. Honestly, I do believe it.
Okay, we'll see.
Exactly.
You say that she's raised right, so that means that that's the way you think it should be.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I've never really thought about it, right? But like when you start to think about it, it's like, yeah, like, you know, you make your food, you serve the man first, the head of the household, and then, you know, boom, you have, and then right there. So what she does is like, she always serves me first, then she goes back and like she makes, you know, whatever little food my son's gonna eat, because he eats food now.
Oh, nice.
So whatever little food he's gonna eat, and boom, she starts feeding him. You know, I start eating, and she starts feeding him. You know, I eat hella fast, so then after that, and then I help out. You know.
Yeah.
But usually I always eat first.
Yeah. Well, that's actually very popular in the Hispanic culture, but that's kind of changing now because we live in this egalitarian country.
I think that's what it was. I think it's just our Hispanic culture. Like, that's just how we are.
Yeah, 100%. But
yeah.
So I put up a poll on my Instagram, and I mean, the demographic of my followers is pretty much primarily Hispanic.
Yeah.
Husband got the least votes, and the poll that I had was husband, wife, or kids. There was one vote for husband. I don't know. I can't count how many were for wife. I want to say like 8 to 10. Mm-hmm. And there was like 80 for kids. Mm-hmm. Right now, I just find it ironic how the husband's like always the last. And it goes back to like have you ever heard the Chris Rock thing? It's like men don't get appreciated. They only get appreciated for what they can provide.
Yeah.
It's not, in this case, that's not even the case. Right. So in the Hispanic culture, that's very popular. The man gets served first. Asian culture, that doesn't matter. It's always eldest to youngest. Doesn't matter if the eldest is a male or a female.
Yeah, because they're used to living all in one household, like grandparents and stuff like.
Well, yeah. But not only that, but here is the Asian culture's mentality, or the mantra that they live by, is that the kids, by doing that, the kids pay homage and respect to the generations before them. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a respect thing, because first of all, they wouldn't be here without those generations before them. Secondly, who provides the food? Right? At the end of the day, who brings it back to the home? The house is not going starving. Why isn't the house going starving? Because of the people before you, right? And in this case, in the Hispanic culture, the thought process is, if the man is the breadwinner, the man is the hardworking guy, making sure that he's providing, protecting. If you're a bum, you're out of the equation. Like, this doesn't apply to you, right? Yeah. Like, if you're a couch potato and you're not working, obviously, then you probably just don't deserve to get served first. But I believe that yes, the man should get served first. Why? Because it's not just because we're like this some selfish monster guy who just is hungry. That's not what it is. It's, for me, the way I'm gonna have it in my household is I'm gonna have my son help my wife set the table. Right? Once he gets to a certain age, he's gonna help my wife set the table, and then I'll get served first, he'll get served first, and then she'll get served last. That's the way I think it should be. Why? Because I think it's important for my son to realize that he should honor where that came from.
Yeah.
That's my thought process. I mean, if anybody listening disagrees, you can feel free to leave it in the comments, or, you know, leave it on Instagram, you know, whatever you can combat that. Somebody tried to combat what I just laid out, and they were like, well, why can't we all just eat at the same time? I mean, I guess. Right. Like,
I mean, you can serve the food real quick and then boom, 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 boom. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, my wife just does it naturally, and it's not because she's not, you know, weak or anything like that. Like,
exactly. Well,
I don't force her to. It's just.
Well, don't you think she subconsciously understands this? What I'm talking about?
Exactly. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Exactly. And then the reason why I say that too is that we're in a state where we hear a lot of people complaining about kids being ungrateful and this generation being weak and all this stuff. Well, guess what? Because of this mindset, this whole little table serving the kids first mindset, it's like you're rewarding without paying homage to where it came from, and you wonder why you're getting ungrateful generations. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To me, that makes clear sense.
For sure. Anything I do have to say is about the whole this generation's weaker. It's just funny because I think that's just, it's been rolling downhill since since the beginning of time. You know, the older generation always like, man, these kids, and it's like it's been documented now since we've had newspapers and stuff, and I see like old clippings like, this generation's so soft, like 1910. I'm like, damn, bro, they were going through some shit back in 1910, you know? So it's like, that's my only thing. It's like, we're always going to view the next generation as weaker, but it's also up to us to make sure that's not what we're leaving behind, you know?
Well, for sure, right? Because obviously, if we're thinking about the grand scheme of generations, obviously it's going to get easier, right?
Yeah, because it's getting easier. That's a good thing.
Yeah, because we innovate.
Yeah.
And we create and we make things convenient.
It's a great thing.
It is a great thing. So it's like, yeah, like sure, the generation above us can say like, yeah, we're we're privileged and, you know, whatever it is, but yeah.
But I do think that eventually that is going to start to reverse man, I don't know, man. It's like you do see kind of like the world getting a little bit crazier, and that's why we're talking about like doing a recap of 2022. You know, like this was a pretty impactful year. You know, it's not as big or as crazy as 2020 was, right? But like you see, like we're back to having conventional warfare. Like in Europe, there's a war.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Like that's something that like you didn't think about. You know, you think of war. Nowadays, people think of like the Middle East that's been destabilized and all that stuff. But now you're seeing like in a place, you know, Russia, Ukraine, in Europe that's supposed to be civilized,
civil,
quote unquote, and we're seeing like legit people on people versus people, tank versus tank warfare.
Yeah,
and it's scary because you know it's starting there, but that has ripple effects all over the world. For
sure. And then we're seeing Vladimir Putin passing laws to combat the West ideology.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So he passed a law saying that nobody is to push any type of LGBTQ propaganda, or even they're not allowed to wear anything that is pushing the ideology of LGBTQ and inclusivity and all these things.
Yeah, and then so what he does in his is like, you know, do that, right? Or he makes it seem he's trying to entrench deeper into us versus them mentality. And then you see it back here in the United States, like, this is what Putin did. The Russians are bad people. It's like, nah, it's not really it. You know, unfortunately that's their leader, and honestly he's a dictator. Like,
yeah,
he's, you know, he didn't take power legally, or he did, right? But a very shady way. So, you know, the people of Russia aren't really per se our like enemy, right?
Yeah.
But the state is, and then the state versus the U.S. and it's just you just wonder when these tensions are actually going to boil over, and we are going to have maybe a legit war between two countries that have a nuclear bomb, which has never happened before, and that's just the scary part.
Yeah.
And like I said, like it can flip, like they flip that switch, man. It goes from everything's getting easier every like 5-10 years, everything gets easier and easier. They flip that switch, man. It's gonna go the opposite, and shit's gonna get hard.
Right. Well, yeah, this is kind of conspiracy theorist thinking, but
you got something?
No, well, I mean, it's not really a conspiracy theory, but a lot of conspiracy theorists that I listen to talk about the reset, right?
Yeah.
Like there has to be a reset coming.
And that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like with tension boiling over with all these big nations that have buttons that they're able to press and destroy God knows amount of like land and people. It does feel like at any point there could be a reset. You know, I don't think we're quite at that level yet, but you know, as the decades roll on, like who knows, man? Who knows? You know, 10 years from now, it's gonna be crazier. That's all I know.
Yeah, I think we still have a lot of things that are going on in our country that
we should focus on.
Yeah, that we should focus on. Like, I kind of don't want to like talk about it too much, but like, you know, like the whole like LGBTQ, the feminist thing movement. It just seems like a lot of the smaller groups are having the louder voice, and it used to be where people would tend to the masses, where I feel like now it's people are tending to the minorities to be inclusive.
Yeah.
Right. We're seeing almost every business do that. I've seen it recently in Disney. We spent Christmas Day here, and I wasn't really paying attention to the TV too much at first. I was just like, you know, I was feeling a bit sick that day, so I was just kind of like lounging on the couch, and I started really paying attention. It was a Disney movie, a cartoon animated movie. I can't even tell you what the title was.
Yeah.
But man, dude, like kids are watching this, and I was like, wow, man. Like, we have like a girl, a little teenage girl who's actually, yeah, she's going to college, and then like she's confused. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
You know, sexually, and then like
Disney, really?
Yeah, bro. And she has like a LGBTQ button on her chest the whole movie, and then she's arguing with her dad, and the whole essence of the movie. I didn't get to finish it, but from what I got off of it was you should fight tradition thinking, and you should like, you know, spawn a new like your own tradition, or like you should branch out from the norm type thing. And I guess it sounds very like brave when you put it the way they were trying to put it.
Be yourself kind of movie.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just like, damn, dude, like you talk about a movie that's trying to get kids to hate their parents and then hate where they come from, hate their country, and like it's like that's what it's doing. Like, and I don't know. I feel like I'm hoping, because we've seen it in history. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here, but we've seen it in history where we see a pendulum where it's like the country turns very conservative and then very
Man, shit, it happened
left
recently, you know? Like, Obama was there for 8 years, right? And people weren't happy, so the pendulum swung all the way to Donald Trump, right? And immediately, 4 years later, it swung to Biden. But I think this next cycle, we're gonna have another swing. Like, they were expecting actually a bigger swing to the right this election season, but it didn't happen. But we're gonna see in the next one, like, you know, maybe that pendulum's gonna swing again. And the thing is, like, it's starting to swing so fast, like it's not
balanced.
Yeah, there's no balance to it. Like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe because I was a kid, but maybe like you know, in the late 90s, early 2000s, you know, I didn't feel like everything was so political and politicized. You know, I felt like, you know, the politicians did their stuff, did their job, right? Like, and you didn't really like, maybe it's also like the 24-hour news media, and like news media is becoming more partisan.
And social media too.
Like, man, I don't know what it is, but it just feels like everything is so much faster now. So the pendulum's swinging super fast.
For sure.
It's honestly, I feel like there's people day to day that flip flop on their beliefs and opinions.
Oh, my best friend's like that, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
He's extremely pseudo-moralistic.
Yeah, exactly.
If someone he's a fan of says something, he bites it.
Yeah.
And well, see, that's a problem too. Is like,
and that's one thing I wanted to bring up too in the 2020 recap, right? I was gonna mention what you thought about like the rise, fall, and then this kind of rise of like Andrew Tate, like a person like that.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like I wanted to get to that one, and also like the Elon Musk taking over Twitter.
Sure. I mean, we can jump on that. That's fine.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, I'll start with this. Are you a fan of Andrew Tate?
So I wouldn't say I'm a fan, right? Like I'm not looking for it and consuming like everything he does. But when he, like, I don't think he's the problem people like say he is. You know? But I mean, this is also because me as an adult, it's like I don't see something a man says and like think it's 100% true or I'm gonna live by it. Like I see what he says and it's just like, okay, that's, you know, part of that like sounds good, but also part of that's entertainment. Like,
yeah. Oh yes.
100% entertainment.
Yeah.
And you know, it's up to you, the man, to distinguish that. But yeah, when an 18-year-old sees it and like thinks that's truth, like man, you're gonna get a hard reality because guess what, man, you don't have a Bugatti. Like you don't have that money that he's talking about.
Yeah.
He's talking about a whole different world, right? But he does make some good points from time to time. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just blowing.
For sure, exactly. So I think fundamentally a lot of the things that he says is true. Because there's even like psychologists that come back and back him up, but they always say one thing, like he's blowing it out of proportion. Like what he's saying fundamentally is true, but this, and they explain it in a lot more civil way.
Yeah, and like the other day I saw a clip of him and he was going off and he was like, you know, he was going off into like, a man can cheat, but a woman can't, you know, this and that, like, you know, going all crazy. And he's like, because when a woman has sex with multiple people and she devalues herself, you know, like, and, you know, he starts using like some harsh words talking about women. And it's like, you know, that's what gets people riled up. Like the word choices he uses, how like passionate he is about everything he says, right? But the thing is like, it's kind of, it's true. It's true. Like a woman devalues herself if she's like sleeping around with a bunch of guys, and like a man that's, you know, worth anything is not going to be interested, like in as in like having her as a wife, because obviously like you can't even, you know, you can't trust her to be faithful to you, right? Mm-hmm. You know, out of the many things that, you know, that comes with. And so like, yeah, like that's true, but the way he goes about it is just so aggressive, so in your face.
Yeah,
like that pisses people off.
Because it's not fair, right? But men always shoot for youth, purity, and fertility. Those are the things we shoot for. And like you can say what you want, like, oh well, it's a double standard. Like sure it is, but you know, that's just the truth. But anyways, going back to like Andrew Tate, I think a lot of what he says fundamentally is true. I think that he overdoes it, but I think he overdoes it for a purpose. Obviously his message wouldn't get across the way it does for sure. in the worldwide
he wouldn't be able to sell his class, you know?
Exactly. The top G university.
This is just not, some people should not be putting into that.
I will say this though, in the beginning I was not a fan, and I still had the same like outlook on him. I still thought that everything he said was fundamentally true, but he obviously made like a fuss about it, and I'm not a big fan of usually people that do that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But then he's been around for a while now, right? Because when I first saw him on the Fresh and Fit podcast. I was like, oh, this guy's just like Fresh and Fit, whatever. And then, but he's been around for a very long time now. I'm like, okay, like what is he doing right? Because obviously people are still talking about. He was the most Googled person, I think, for 3 to 4 months in 2022.
And that's why we're talking about him in the year-end recap, because like he kind of like blew up the social media scene. I don't know, maybe if it was just a TikTok that caught the right audience and just took off. You know, who knows? But honestly, he just became crazy.
Well, even being banned off of those platforms, he went on Piers Morgan. He was doing all these things, and like it's just crazy. Like you can't deny this guy because he's more searched than Donald Trump. He's more searched than Elon Musk. Name anybody. He's the most searched person in the world for 3 to 4 months out of 2022.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Think about that.
That's crazy.
Who can you say has done that?
Top G. Yeah, man. I just wanted to bring that up because I remember we had that exact conversation when he blew up, and we're just like, you know, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then obviously we have friends that are like, that I believe like they see that shit and they really like, it's a hard ticket.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, bro. There's some delusional people that cannot distinguish between...
And that's the problem, and that's when the danger poses in. But Like, do I think he should have been banned off everything? I don't think so. I think that was like overblown.
Well, let's talk about that too, because I think that's a flaw that people have, where they, well, in the Bible says, right, like you shouldn't have any other gods. You shouldn't have any other idols, exactly. Right? Yeah. And so I feel like a lot of people, they bite the bait too much, and then they just they take whatever is sold to them by anybody, yeah. And it's honestly, to me, that proves so much. When I talk to a person and then they don't even have their own ideas and they're like, oh, well, this person said this and this person said that. And it's like, okay, what are you saying? I'm asking, what are you saying? And so...
Primal. another guy,
right? And so I think that's a big red flag. And so I would tell anybody listening to this podcast, like if you have a friend or a guy friend that is quick to say those things and not have his own ideas and opinions...
I would check him on it, honestly.
Well, yeah. Not only check them on it, but like, I'm not saying get rid of that person out of your life, but what I am saying is like, be careful not to let that person influence your thought process too much.
Take what they say with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Like just like I do when I listen to a guy like Tate or a guy like Liver King, like I just mentioned right now, made a little quip about. You know, like there's good shit about the 9 ancestral tenets. Like there's some good stuff there. Like it's not bad.
Yeah.
But obviously, he was pretending to be something he wasn't, and he got caught doing it too. So, but from the get-go, you can see right through these people. You just take it with a grain of salt, man.
For sure. And then you see people that were extremely upset, right? And those are the same people that bought over it.
Yeah.
And like, the reason why I wasn't upset that Liver King's not natural is because, well, first of all, I didn't buy into the whole thing in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I took what I took from the guy that I thought was, applicable and was a good thing, right? Like going outside, getting sun every day. Who can argue with that?
Andrew Huberman, like doctor on YouTube, first thing he says, go outside and get sun. Like that's like a very well-known thing. Like sunlight is good for you.
Exactly. So I think like you said it perfectly. Take things with a grain of salt. Like look at someone, information, whatever it is, and then take what you think is of good value. And if you don't understand the rest, I would even like recommend people doing research on whatever it is.
And it doesn't have to be with all these big celebrities. It could be anyone in your life. Anyone in your life that you think is outspoken and that you like. You can't like Roger said, you can't idolize these people. Like pretty much anyone. Yeah. Even your own family members, you have to take what they say with a grain of salt and form your own opinions.
100%. I think Jordan B. has a chapter in the 12 Books of Life, or that one down there, Beyond Order. I forgot which book. I read them both. But he has a rule where he basically says, talk to everybody or treat everybody as if they have something to offer, right? And I feel like that is true, but he goes in depth in the chapter about being aware, taking things with a grain of salt, and then really identifying the BS from the the good stuff, right?
100%.
And that's not easy to do, right? Because like if you see something online that's clickbaity and whatever, like obviously if you want to believe it, your impulsive nature is going to want to just jump on it.
Yeah. And also the algorithm is going to feed it to you.
For sure. Like an 18-year-old incel is going to see Andrew Tate and going to love everything he says.
And guess what? All his feed is going to be Tate.
Yeah.
That's all he's going to consume all day.
For sure.
As media. And that'll deeply affect him psychologically.
For sure. Like me so me as a married man, I obviously have a different outlook to and it's not like I had problems with the ladies either. Like, you know what I mean? So what I'm basically saying is like I've had girlfriends in the past. I'm married now. I have a track record of like, dating. Take an incel, who's somebody who struggles with getting females, whatever. They're gonna see Andrew Tate, they're like, oh yes, girls are useless, whatever. They're gonna take it as he's being misogynist. Like they're gonna.
He says this and he gets all these girls.
Andrew Tate will spawn a misogynistic guy, an incel. But like someone like me will take that and understand. Like when he says things like men with high body counts have higher value, right? What does he mean by that, right? And so people will take that as like, oh, well, I should just try to have sex with as many females as I want, right? That's not what he's saying, although it sounds like he's just saying, right? But that's like me. Like, would I rather go and have multiple partners, or would I rather my family, a healthy marriage, and my son, a good, constructive space for my son to grow up in, right? I don't know. It's an interesting topic because, like, I know what he's trying to say, because he's saying that it's a lot harder for men to find mates. So if you have that option.
But the thing is, he's kind of like broadcasting to those males.
Exactly.
Specifically. Like, he's targeting them so they could pay for his Hustlers University, right? His website. Because he knows that's who's most susceptible to give up the money.
Yeah.
So that's where it gets where he's like I said, I don't think he should have been banned off everything, right? But do I understand people criticizing him like crazy? Yeah, of course I do. Like, definitely, you can see right through that.
Well, the banning's a touchy topic too, because here's why. Because it's weird, because it's like, oh, he shouldn't get banned off of a private company's website.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a private company. They own the rights and they can do whatever they want, essentially, right? But it's very unfair when people like Andrew Tate get banned, but then we have leftists, which will lead into the Twitter files and Hunter Biden. People are like, the people on the right are getting banned, but people on the left aren't getting banned for what they're saying, right? Like, that's where it kind of gets unfair. So that's why I don't agree with people like Andrew Tate getting banned for their speech. You know what I mean?
I don't really think anyone should get banned. Like, should they say hateful things? Like, no, but like at the same time,
what is hateful though?
Exactly, like,
because let's say you're overly sensitive.
Yeah.
Right? And I say,
someone calls you a poo-poo face and you're like, I don't like that.
That's hate.
That's going to get them banned, and that's hate, But
this is what I think that should happen. Like, I think that it should be very clear in the terms of service, or maybe not even just in the terms of service. I think they should make it publicly known. It doesn't matter your stance, left, right, whatever it is. These things are off limits.
Yeah, like if you call someone a slur, it's like,
yeah,
if you're going to make that repeatable behavior, I understand. But just saying something kind of controversial, your own idea, your own opinion is like,
yeah.
I don't know if that's
well, see, like, okay, so like
something to get completely taken away.
If Andrew Tate is going to be banned, then some feminists should also get banned, right? Because it's the opposite.
Yeah, because some of them are actually like, they actually do say like, pretty nasty things.
Bro, I saw this one post.
Yeah.
I saw this one post where this girl's like, I'm pregnant. I can't wait to find out if it's a girl or if it's killed.
Jesus. Like, that's wild, man. I wonder if she was serious with that
And it was #FMen.
Yeah. There's no way that's real.
Probably not real, but still, that's allowed, though.
Yeah,
but that's allowed.
100%, yeah.
Right? The feminist movement's allowed.
Yeah.
But Andrew Tate will say something like what I just said, about the men's body count, and then he'll get banned.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was controversial enough to get banned. Like you said, you didn't know about the whole Kanye situation, but he was kind of going off and singling out Jewish people and being pretty anti-Semitic, and it's like, okay, I kind of get that guy's gonna get taken down. It's like,
what was he saying? Like, obviously, don't
he was just kind of blaming the Jews for like. He was kind of just blaming the Jews for like messing with his music career or being the owners of everything he's trying to do, this and that. Like, he was trying to make it seem like it's exclusively Jewish people, are the problem in all these companies. They're the higher ups and they're like have the control. And he's like, I'm not gonna be silenced anymore, and I'm gonna talk about them if I want to and all that stuff. And it was just, it got pretty like. It just got at one point. It just got like, okay, he's just beating a dead horse, and he's just being pretty anti-Semitic. So it's like, okay, I get that he's gonna go away.
Well, like if the way you explained it, like I don't think he should get banned, because it's like, oh, is it true?
The thing is, like, I don't know.
We see the thing is, like, let's say.
My thing is, like, if you have a problem with a person, just say the person's name. Don't be like, it's the Jewish people.
But like, if it isn't the Jewish people, then why ban them? But well, I guess it would be like false. I guess.
No, yeah, because you know there'll be people like you said that believe everything Tate says, that believe everything Ye says, and like, okay, you know, the Jews are a problem. They're and it's the same thing Hitler did in Nazi Germany, and there's a long history of it. And like I said, like if you have a problem with someone, just call them out, say their name. Like you're Kanye West, you shouldn't be scared to say someone's name. And it's like,
yeah, but then we gotta take Lizzo. We gotta ban her too.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
I was like, man, did she single out the Asians or something?
No, Lizzo's always getting.
She's just. I'm not even saying anything, man.
The Hodge twins are always making fun of her.
Yeah,
people on the right are always clashing her.
Yeah, she's, you know, there's just some people that like to be problematic, you know. Fine, whatever.
Yeah, bro. I think we're like rambling on a bunch of topics. So I think it's fun. I think it's like a casual.
No, and it is, and it's like obviously we're having a glass of whiskey, man. Like we didn't sit around like one straight up topic. We wanted to talk about pretty much what we've seen this year. Like I said, the high notes we hit on the Russian-Ukraine war. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
You know, the possible ramifications. We hit on like popular people like Tate, Musk, what they're doing this year. It's kind of crazy.
We went a little personal. Talk about fatherhood.
And of course, like fatherhood, and that's pretty much been the year 2022. You know, like I said, it wasn't as crazy as 2020 with the whole COVID shit, but it was pretty eventful, I'd say.
Yeah, 2022 was pretty good.
I
think overall, it was a good bounce back. Because I feel like 2020 was obviously chaotic.
And I think that just went through 2021 as well.
Exactly, yeah. So I was about to say that 2021 was kind of like...
2020 part 2. You know?
It's part 2, right? People were still combative and stuff like that. And then I feel like 2022, now people are like kind of relaxing off.
It did, yeah. It took about 2 years for things to start. You know, it's never going to be completely normal, but it's starting to feel a little bit more, you know?
For sure. So, what are you looking forward to in 2023? I don't like to say New Year's resolutions, but we'll just say, what are the things that you're looking to do in 2023?
No, for sure. I mean,
accomplish?
I have personal goals. You know, I definitely just want to make more money than I did last year. That should be the number one goal for everyone every year, I think. You know, make more money, provide for my family. I'm excited for my son to start walking. Super excited for that because I'm take him to the park and, you know, just be more active with him, right? You know, I definitely want to lose some weight, drop some pounds, get back into shape. You know, that's always been like a big part of me. And you know, this last year and a half, you know, I haven't kept up with myself on a physical level, and so I've gained weight.
For sure.
You know, it happens, and it's not the first time it's happened. You know, when I left the army, I gained weight. A couple months later, you know, I got on diet, training, and you know, I lost it. But it's like it's a cycle, man. And the way me and you are, like.
We have them big boy genetics.
Yeah, we got them big boy genes, man. We eat a little bit more than we should, and it shows like that, man.
For sure.
I know guys that eat like crazy and still don't gain weight.
Shredded. Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's just personal goals for me. I want to, you know, get back into shape, improve professionally, and spend more time with my son, definitely.
For sure. That's good. I think for me, my priority this year would be find a career that is suiting.
Yeah,
suiting for my
100%.
family, suiting for myself, something that's going to allow me to get allow me to have purpose, or feel like I have purpose, and then be able to provide for my family. Definitely get back on the grind because I gained 20 pounds in like 3 months or 4 months.
That's just the way fatherhood is.
And then what else do I want to do? I want to finish the 3 books that I started.
Yeah.
The 3 child books that I just started. And then 4th, just kind of, you know, broad, but be the best father I can be year 1.
It's exciting, man, honestly. Like, as time goes by, it's just, they start to recognize you a little bit more, you know, like.
Yeah.
And they look for you, you know. Like, my son sees me, he lights up. Like, it's the best.
That's good, man.
It's the best. And like your son's only a month right now, but pretty soon, in a couple months, man, bro, you're going to blink, and he's going to be a year old, and you're going to be like, damn.
Yeah, bro. But thanks for hopping on. I always appreciate you having on. So I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Everybody, the thing that I want to say is that we're still on Spotify. I know last podcast I said we were going to be off Spotify. We're back on Spotify, but you're going to have to research the Common Podcast because I switched websites and they made me make a whole new thing. So you're going to have to research the Common Podcast and you'll see all these uploads. I think there's already 3 up there. So go check it out on Spotify. We're also on Amazon Music and we're not going to be able to get on Apple. So sorry for that, but we're still on YouTube too. But anyways, also go check out the reaction channel. That's going to be the first link in the description. The Twitch is also in the description if you're curious. And that's it. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.
Later.
On the track.